What is up, everyone? It does feel good to have a webcam again, and also hello to new subscribers. I need for y'all to understand that I've been doing this stuff for like a really long time. So if you're interested in that video that I did of a flip, you're gonna definitely love my old ones. Yes, I am still coughing, but is I feel like it's bronchitis. I don't feel like it's the other thing. My birthday was earlier this weekend. As I sat back and contemplated the everlasting dread of the fact that I'm one of the few people in my age group who don't have their crap together in comparison to everybody who does, I, you know, I started paying. I paid my bills, and in the process of me paying my bills, I was getting more and more frustrated by the fact that while I'm paying my bills, like these things are like not getting. It's not getting any better. Like things are starting to get more and more expensive, and I'm starting to get more and more stressed out about it because, like, there used to be this whole thing on the internet. I don't know if it's still a thing now, but people used to be like, the best way to get yourself out of poverty is with financial literacy, which I think is a load of crock because it's like if you're being given, hypothetically speaking, like $10 a day to survive off of, right? If you're being given $10 a day to survive off of, financial literacy ain't gonna turn that $10 a day into a couple million. You know what I mean? Like you still gotta give. You still have to be given more money in order to have more money to be able to be financially literate about. But then it was like then you find out that the financial literacy thing was just code for putting money into investments so that investment scammers could like take your money and it's just one big scam at the end of the day, which is really kind of even more stressful because like it's like the more you look at it, America is just a casino full of scammers. It's like everybody is just trying to like sell you their idea of what prosperity is just so they can take your money. And it's just like it wouldn't have to be that way if things weren't so remarkably. It's like dystopia builds more dystopia. These scammers are either really, really, really greedy rich people or people who are so desperate for money that they resort to scamming in order to get it. So it's like, and it's like, you want to be mad at the scammer, but instead you have to also be mad at the system that turned them into a scammer in the first place. So it's just like, it really kind of makes me mad because like every single time I talk about how expensive things have gotten, people love to sort of push this narrative of, well, technically speaking, if you really want to have more money, then you got to start making sacrifices. You got to get rid of certain things that you that you got as a luxury, and it's like the most expensive thing I have to pay for is my car. Are you telling me that I shouldn't have a car anymore in order to get more money? Because it's not like I'm spending. It's not like I'm spending a whole bunch of money on my gosh darn cell phone, even though I am. But it's not the most expensive thing I got. The most expensive thing I have is this apartment and that car. Which, by the way, if I ever were to lose this apartment, I gotta have a place to live. The car is technically a second home. A little cramped and a little a little cramped, a little weather beaten, but yeah, I'm just saying. So it's like sacrifices. It's like, man, that's crazy. I also don't like the fact that it's like my whole thing is I'm 100% willing to give up my car if I knew that there was another way for me to like travel that was reasonable and resourceful. Why is it that New York has a subway? Why is it that you have like all of these places that have like trains and stuff, but like we can't do like that? That's not a thing. And like I lived in Louisiana my whole life. The only place I knew to had a trolley system was New Orleans. It's not like you can go to Baton Rouge and there would be like a train station there. I mean, there are buses, but everybody knows that buses are ridiculously unreliable. You know what I mean? Like I knew a guy who actually lost his job because he didn't have a car, and this was before Uber and Lyft and everything. And he had to take the bus to get to work. So if he missed the bus, he just couldn't get to work. Well, why don't he just get somebody to take him to work? Once again, it's not like that's a privileged statement. Having people that you trust to do that for you, that's a privilege. That's not something that's guaranteed. Like a lot of people love speaking from privilege without realizing that there's a lot of things that just like if you don't have the privilege of having those things, you just don't have them. So there's that. It's like like I said, like we like trains should be a national thing. It doesn't make sense that there's only so many places in the country that you could like actually access logical transportation to. And I know I'm going on a bit of a rant here, but just bear with me because I worked at a military base. I've lived at a military base when I was a kid, but not because my parents were in the military, but it was because of something else I forget. But I lived on a military base and I've worked at a military base. And it's like it's the most convenient thing on the planet. Like you could literally, if you wanted to, you could walk, from the residential area that you live at to places where you would need to go to in order to do things. I mean, it's a pretty hefty walk. It's like at least a good 5 minute, 10 minute walk. But if you are in the military, you're physically fit enough to do that. So it's like, yeah, it's like it's so weird how like technically speaking, if things were within walking distance, there would be a big improvement in humanity because people will be more physically fit because they have to actually use their body to get places. There will be like you don't got to worry about like paying for gas because it's right there. It's just like it's wild to me just how something as simple as stuff being a reasonable distance from you as a person can sort of like just sort of shape the very foundation of a society. You know what I mean? It's just it boggles my mind a little bit just because like something as convenient as that could actually have like really 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 big results in a good way. Like you could literally have people saving up money and getting more physically fit and probably questioning why isn't everybody doing this stuff. You know what I'm saying? It's just wild. Meanwhile, outside, I mean, like the midlife crisis that the oil industry has on America is so mind-bogglingly like just like it's so tight. To put this in perspective, paper is not nearly as crazy as the oil industry is. Um, I mean, it's just like I always go back to this. It's like there's a lot of stuff that's going paperless now. You know what I mean? There's a universal agreement that not everything needs to be put on paper because paper can it could take up space. It could be easily missed. You know what I'm saying? You can put down paper, walk out, and you can put down paper and forget where it is, and you just won't know where that like it's lost. You see what I'm saying? And so it's like now there's a big old transition from paperwork to digital, where paperwork is an option in comparison. Like it's an option. It's not like paperwork is just completely becoming obsolete. It's just that like now it's become less of a requirement and more of a choice. And you don't have the paper industry buying congressional members and going, hey, we need to make sure that everything requires paper from now on. We need to make sure that everything, like we need to make sure we need to keep paper relevant. You know what I'm saying? There's no big paper. From what I understand, there's no big paper industry out there that's doing the thing that the oil industry is doing. You see what I'm saying? And paper is much more, as dare I say, much more useful than the oil industry is. Like, well, what's something that you it's like, well, everything that you need requires oil. Yeah, but there's other options that you can use besides oil. You know what I'm saying? Oil isn't the end all be all. It's not like if you get rid of oil, everything just stops. People just find other ways to do things. Like you get rid of cars, people just gonna start riding bikes and walking. You know what I mean? It's like rather than nobody's gonna make it obsolete. It's just you're just gonna see a little less of it. That's all. But yeah, that's my rant about the system. It's just that like I just don't like the idea that everything is becoming more and more expensive, and there's like something as simple as just me just being able to walk to where I need to go to rather than drive to where I need to go to will technically like cut off will technically have me saving up so much more money. Like I just I don't believe in the idea of luxuries anymore because the most expensive stuff I have to pay for aren't luxuries. They're basically like keys to my survival. It's just bonkers to me that that's still a thing. But yeah, I gotten older now, and I'm starting to get a little frustrated with how things are going. Like just on a just in general. Um, what else? Will and Jada have recently like graced my Facebook wall again, as I've mentioned before. A lot of information I get is from Facebook. So like Will and Jada, apparently Jada said something, and now people are like, "Oh my God, we just remember we hate Jada Pinkett-Smith," and I'm just like, celebrities do not matter. Celebrities don't matter. Like I understand y'all just want to because like a lot of people who hate black women really like this it's like there's a deeper meaning to what's going on here. People are just trying to put a face to the misogyny war now. Like they're basically saying, well, we don't hate all black women. We're just making fun of Jada because she keeps on giving us a reason to, which is like, yo, I don't think you understand how weird this sounds. It's like she keeps saying this stuff, so we have to we have to interject. No, you don't. You don't have to say anything. It doesn't matter. Their relationship doesn't. Okay, as I've said multiple times before, if you ever go into my older videos where I talk about relationships, love, and dating and stuff like that, dating, love, relationships, sex, all these other things, that entire spectrum is so nuanced. It's so full of context. It's so full of like just like everybody is different, so everybody is going to have a different perspective as to what dating is, what marriage is, what love is, what sex is, what good sex is, what bad sex is. Everybody is different, so everybody is. It's like a fingerprint. You have your own sexual fingerprint. Some people might like there's some people probably might have similar taste in this stuff, but it's always going to be a little nuanced. Not everybody is going to agree with everything 100% of the time. You know what I mean? Even people who have been married together for a long time and starting to understand each other's perspective is going to have just a little bit of disagreement because once again, that's just the fingerprint. So if you just because you think like for all we know, Will and Jada's relationship could be the ideal relationship that they have that they want. You know what I'm saying? So it's like it's just kind of weird that you immediately kind of go into this thing sort of like you're looking at their relationship from your own personal lens, and you're saying because I don't like what they're going through, I'm going to interject because my perspective is correct in comparison to what they're actually going through. Whereas you don't know these people. You don't know these people. You know what I mean? You don't interact with them at all. Your idea of a relationship is going to be different from their idea of a relationship, and it's really entitled that you feel like your perspective is like something that you should like interject or use as your reason to interject. That's like me seeing somebody eat a pizza with that's like me seeing somebody eat a pizza and seeing them like sprinkle brown sugar on a slice before they eat it. Now I probably might be saying to myself, that is quite peculiar, and I am not a fan of that. But I'm not gonna be like, yo, that's the wrong way to eat a pizza. No, it's not. That's how they want to eat a pizza. Let them eat the pizza how they want to eat the pizza. Let these people be who they are and do what they want to do without you coming in and trying to make it about yourself. It's just dumb. And besides, at the end of the day, I can't stress this enough. Celebrities don't matter. You don't matter to a celebrity. Why do they matter to you? I don't get it. The moment that I realized that I would probably never see the inside of a celebrity's home, that is when I realized, you know what? Maybe I don't need to be fixated on these people. And there's people my age, in their 30s, who have not, whose that light bulb hasn't came on yet. So they're still like, these people need to like, Will needs to divorce Jada Pinkett-Smith. And I'm like, how, what? She keeps on cheating on him. And I'm like going, if they're separated, then how is she cheat? What's going on? Like, what is going on? I'm confused. What are you guys talking about? Well, it's like, at the end of the day, the agenda for Jada Pinkett Smith is ultimately that people are trying to like put a face to the misogyny war, like they're trying to put a face and a name to why they dislike black women. Because now I'm giving like at least a couple months. Every single time a dude has a terrible take about black women, they're going to use a picture of Jada Pinkett Smith to give it attention because they know that people who hate black women are going to like go to that's picture of Jada Pinkett Smith and go, boo. Like it's now just becoming like, it's basically like what the Republicans do to Democrats. Whereas if they want something to like, if they have a terrible perspective about like Democrats or the left or black people or the LGBTQ community or anything like that, they're just gonna put a picture of Obama up because they know that Republicans are gonna come up and be like, boo. You know what I'm saying? It's the same way with the liberals. You know what I'm saying? If they have a terrible perspective about like oppression or fascism or white supremacy, they're gonna put up a picture of Donald Trump so they can so other people are gonna be like, boo. You see what I'm saying? It's just like how it's how these things are being done right now. My heart goes out to the people of Gaza, by the way. Um, like it's really what's happening right now. I don't know enough about Israel and the Palestine to like be able to actually have a perspective on it. I don't. You know what I'm saying? I I don't like colonization. I don't like the idea of people being oppressed. So of course, my heart goes out to the Palestinian people, but I also am not an anti-Semite. So like, but it's like, guess what? It's not anti-Semitic to dislike what is going on. It's not anti-Semitic to dislike what's happening with the Palestinian people, from what I understand anyway. It's not like it's not like I'm not saying anything about Jewish people. I'm saying something. I'm against the horrible treatment of people in general. Well, you're not against the horrible treatment of white supremacists. Yes, I am. I don't like the idea of them being like murdered. I don't like the idea of their children being harmed. But like I do like the idea of white supremacists not having power. I do like the idea of white supremacists like having their power taken away from them. You know what I'm saying? For the better of the planet, because white supremacy is basically a global terror. But I'm not gonna be like, hang them by their, I'm not hang them by their feet and make them watch as we do terrible things to their children. No, that's what? No, that's terrible. That's terrible. Don't do these things. Just bring them to justice so like and get these people out of power. Let them know that what they're doing has repercussions that aren't going to that are morally acceptable. So because like I'm just saying, it's just like, but yeah, like the whole thing about the Middle East, once again, I don't like oppression. I'll say that. I don't like people being oppressed. I don't like the idea of people being harmed for simply being who they are rather than anything that they actually have done. So yeah, but yeah, though, like y'all, like there's a lot of hot topic issues that are like going on right now. But I just rather talk about the fact that rent is too high, car insurance is too high, the oil in it. Like I'm starting to realize that my political party that I support is anyone that's going to lower rent, up pay wages, and just make sure that people are not suffering anymore. I'm sorry for this really long video. I've been talking for a really long time. Y'all be easy, love, and peace, and we'll talk again soon. By the way, how y'all like this lighting? It's the sun.